Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commando Radio Network with a shout out to our listeners on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. And, of course, you can watch us now on the AUN TV network. And as our producer, Rick Trader, says, we are everywhere. We are everywhere. My co-host today is Melissa Isaak. Hi, Melissa. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, Sharron. It's been a long week.
It's been
a good week. It's been a good week.
Well, we had a 4th of July celebration in the middle of it. Maybe that's why it made it feel a little longer. We're finally starting to get out, I think, a little bit. We had some forest fires here. I thought at first that they were caused by fireworks. They were banned here in Nevada. Well, at least in some of the counties, they were banned because of the high fire danger, but not so much. We've got a big one going right now. It's out of control, and it has burned down one home, is threatening other structures. They've evacuated, and it's a convergence of 3 fires, and what they said was arson. They are suspecting that's arson.
No.
Not, bad. Lots of times it's lightning strikes. We have a lot of dry lightning. No rain to follow it to put it out. It's just dry lightning. But this got in the trees, and when it gets in the trees, it's hard. I know people don't think of Nevada as having trees, but we do have a few. Now we have a few less because of the fire. But anyway, high fire danger and not fireworks this time. This was. And that always makes you go to, so why? Why would they want to burn something? I know Muslim terrorists in Israel deliberately burned down forests there just to cause havoc with the countryside. They and it's just it's meanness. It's like, why would you burn down trees? What's the percentage in that? Where do you get any kind of good coming out of that, or even support for your cause? Because people, when you start destroying things like that, it's like, I'm not with you anymore, right? You might have a great cause, but the minute you start to destroy stuff, people just get turned off. It's like what's going on right now with these protests. We were all with them. We all were. The main thing, when we all saw that video of George Floyd being killed, we all said, wow, not here, not in America. Yeah. How can that happen? And then we started to see the protests, and we said, well, that's probably right. People deserve to know how wrong this was. But then they started destroying property. They started taking over cities. They started threatening and doing things to the police, defunding the police. All of a sudden, I think America bailed. About 2 weeks ago, they said, wait a second, not here, not in my town. And now we're seeing actually a counter to that. So talk about some of those counters. They're really interesting, I think.
Yeah, one of the most interesting one I saw was the bikers. The bikers are starting to organize, and they're going to rallies, they're going to monuments, and they're going in numbers. They're huge numbers. And so, we think of motorcyclists, we think of these rugged, sort of, long beard, leather jacket wearing kind of guys, and they're saying we've had enough, and they're going to stand there. They're going to make sure things stay peaceful, make sure there's no destruction, and it's working. People are showing up, and you see all these bikers standing there, and they're backing off. And so, yes, people are starting to step up. Conservatives are starting to speak up. People who normally don't go in the streets are starting to literally organize and go in the streets. So, and everyone's with you. What happened to George Floyd was, it is unimaginable that could happen here. And you saw a lot of people in the video trying to help him, and the police would not. So certainly, what happened to him needs. Oh my goodness, it's horrible. Needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But since then, we've seen. We were talking. There's an 8-year-old girl, I think, who got shot and killed at a Wendy's when her mom was trying to park. And there's so many other killings that have happened that has not been addressed.
Yeah.
So if are we just concerned about death? Black lives who are killed by police officers? Or are we worried about all of them? Because if we're worried about all of them, I think we need to go to some of the old policies that are in place in terms of keeping families together, keeping families apart. It permeates the just the police. We're going to look at legislative policies and courts and whatnot. But I digress. But we are starting to see some organization from the other side saying, "Hey, look, we're not going to allow this destruction to happen."
Well, you're right, and bikers have always been seen as tough guys.
Yeah.
But I can see why this kind of has hit close to home when they start talking about tearing down Mount Rushmore. They have a biker convention. I think it's every year or every 2 years in Sturgis, South Dakota. That's real close to Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. And I've been up there when the bikes just line the streets. There are just thousands of them that come in. And, that's just, they're very patriotic. We've just, we've got a paradigm about bikers, but the more you get to know a guy that loves a Harley, the more you see he also loves his country. And it's just
That's
kind
right.
of an interesting parallel there. But they're really, like we said, this thing is now starting to create a backlash from folks that don't generally jump into the political arena or get too involved with politics, but now they're saying enough is enough. And speaking of enough, we're right up against a break, so we'll do that, and then we'll come back and talk about our guests. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. Don't go away. Melissa and I will be right back to talk about our guests today.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. Of course, while you're there, friend us, follow us, and like us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Melissa, we've got three great guests today. Would you introduce them to us?
Yeah, we are going to speak with Helen Raleigh. And Helen Raleigh is a senior contributor to the Federalist. She's an immigrant from China, and she's the owner of Red Meadow Advisors, LLC, and an immigration policy fellow at the Centennial Institute, Colorado. And she wrote a powerful autobiography called Confucius Never Said. And so we talked to her a little bit about that. And actually, you know, we're going to talk to her about an article that she wrote. This says evil coronavirus rules that force Americans to die alone must never happen again. But I want to ask her a little bit about China too, because we're on this, you know, we're under some of our citizens are under this delusion that socialism and communism is a good thing. So I'm hoping to maybe ask her a little bit about that too. And we're going to talk with Jason Snead, and he's the executive director of the Honest Elections Project. And prior to heading that project, he spent 10 years at the Heritage Foundation, where he had the honor to work for former Attorney General Ed Meese. And he's mentioned in a article written by Ron Blitzer. A new report argues perils of mail-in voting go beyond fraud. And I know in Alabama we're dealing with that right now. Our Supreme Court just issued a stay to our citizens being able to do curbside voting because there's such a potential for fraud. So, you know, we'll see what's happening in D.C. and what sort of efforts are being made by his organization, because look, fair elections are fundamental to our democracy. And then we'll speak with Tyler O'Neill, and he is the senior editor of PJ Media and a conservative commentator. He wrote a book. His latest book is Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. So I want to talk to him a little bit about his book. But he wrote an article, Did the Supreme Court Just Eviscerate the Central Purpose of the Electoral College? And on Monday, the Supreme Court ruled that states can impose penalties on members of the Electoral College who violate their pledges to vote for their party's candidate. So, you know, I guess when you think of the Electoral College, you think of you elect somebody, or you select somebody who's going to have good judgment in casting the vote. But now apparently the Supreme Court said you can impose penalties if they don't vote the way they say they're going to vote. So, you know, we'll talk to him about that too.
Great. You know, we always are out there, it's kind of scouring before the show just for interesting articles that have something to do with the current event. But sometimes, you know, we get just kind of overloaded. And I know I get tired of hearing about coronavirus and the protests. And that seems to be all that the news is carrying sometimes. Especially you get tired of listening to it when you see these contradictions. I guess, you know, when there's nothing that you can say, okay, this is what it's all about. Like, I found 2 articles. One says the coronavirus updates. U.S. hits a daily record of 60,000, 21 new cases, a total of near 3 million. Florida hospitals, ICUs reach capacity. Okay, so it sounds like everything's going terrible. I mean, we got huge increase. But then in another article, same day, it says CDC might stop calling COVID an epidemic because of a major drop in the mortality rate. So, it's like, is it bad or is it not so bad? Should we open up or not open up? Do we need to wear masks or not? It just seems like it's very arbitrary, and I think people are just really getting very, very weary of that whole discussion.
Well, they talk about new cases. The problem I have with that is that you can have the coronavirus, yet be completely asymptomatic, but yet you're counted in that new cases.
Sure.
And what I heard too is some jurisdictions or some cities are saying, our corona ICU, we don't have room for anybody else. We're at capacity, but they have a different corona ICU than they do the regular ICU. So they might have only so many dedicated beds, but it's just in that unit. They might have another unit open where there's beds. We used to see when this first came up, tents were set up outside of hospitals, but then nobody was in those tents. Nobody was there. So,
right.
I think that really hurt the narrative at how lethal this is. And I think the last thing I saw, it has a 0.04% mortality rate. That's what I saw.
So, but the numbers are, even there, you're getting a different number sometimes. I think that, some of those news stories that are out there that I thought, maybe we can talk about this. I'm a homeschooler, and I know you have 2 children, and I did this homeschooling because it was the best thing for my children to take them home. The Supreme Court this week struck down the Blaine amendments in state constitutions, including my state, and that means states can no longer discriminate against religious schools when implementing voucher and scholarship programs. Long overdue, a poll by American Federation for Children, an advocacy group supporting school choice for low-income families, found 40% of families nationally were likely to homeschool their children or have them attend a virtual school following the COVID closure. So people have found out that they do have an alternative to this public school system, that it's not so bad having your kids at home. And in fact, you can teach them what you want to teach them rather than something that academia feels like they need to know and skips the important things like the Constitution, history. I mean, we've been kind of chattering about that here on Conservative Commandos, about how we've just got a culture that's been dumbed down over the years because they've refused to teach what was important.
Well, they have, and the public schools are often referred to as indoctrination centers because now they're teaching ideology versus reading, writing, phonics, arithmetic. They're getting into ideology. So, you have schools teaching, sex education. So if you're a parent and you're teaching abstinence and they're saying, well, no, you can have sex, just wear a condom. But as a parent, to be like, wait a minute now, what's the school doing? The school has really crossed a line in terms of academics. So, no, I think parents are rethinking everything and saying, well, wait a minute now, my child, is not getting ideology that I don't like. And, we can do this from home. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we've identified some real cultural shifts that actually are starting in schools, and they're starting younger and younger on our children. It's no longer important to know that 2 and 2 equal 4. It's only the process, not the correct answer, just the process. Well, tell that to your banker the next time you go for a loan. That number doesn't really matter. It's the process, right? And this whole thing about if I choose to be a boy or if I choose to be a girl, no matter what my genetic makeup is, if I choose to be a girl today and win a girls' competition as a boy, that's okay. We're just losing some real ground here. And I think you're right. Parents are just saying, I have alternatives, and I think I'm going to exercise those, especially when schools are starting to say, well, maybe we won't even come back in the fall, or you're going to have to be 2 days on internet and 3 days in the classroom. I don't know how it is in Alabama, but we're getting some really crazy ideas about what school looks like.
We're still a pretty conservative state, so I guess I'm lost as to, they said I don't know, what are we up to now, 700 genders? I can't get past 2. I don't know, I can't get past 2. So, I think a lot of parents, they think this stuff is ridiculous. By the way, on both sides of the political spectrum. So this is so ridiculous. Their kids are going to school. They're learning Common Core. You can't even help your kids with Common Core math because you can't figure it out. Can't figure out the process. So yeah, I think this
you can get to the right answer, but your kid gets it wrong because he doesn't know the process. Right?
Exactly. Your child gets all the right answers and they fail the test instead of the process. And so, that's been a big problem with Common Core that I've heard is parents, you can't help with homework at all. No clue. I don't know how to do Common Core math.
Well,
I
I think that through this closure of the schools, parents have seen that there's a lot out there, and it's really not about being a teacher that knows everything to your children. It's just being willing to discipline your children to learn.
That's right.
You provide the things you want them to learn, and then you say, and we're going to learn from 9 to 12 or 9 to 3, whatever you choose. I know when we did homeschooling, my husband couldn't take summer vacations because of his job. But while we were homeschooling, we took a fall vacation, and we actually saved up his vacation time. We got in our Volkswagen pop-top Vanagon and went for 31 days across the United States. Nice. We went all the way as far south as the Florida Key West, yep. And as far north as the Statue of Liberty. And during that 31 days, each one of us kept a journal. Now, when my children went back to public school because they wanted to be in sports and all kinds of things that they couldn't at homeschool, my son walked into one of his classes, and the teacher said, now, has anybody been to Mount Rushmore? He says, oh, yeah, been there. And he said, Mom, every place he mentioned, we've been there.
We've been there.
And so it was a wonderful geography lesson. It's a great family time. We still look back on it. My grandchildren love to look at the album that we made and read the journal entries. So, there's something about homeschooling that just gives you a freedom to do things that you can't do in the normal public school setting because everybody's got to be the same, right?
That's right.
Got to be the same. Well, we are up against a break, and we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. We'll be right back after this break with our first guest, Helen Raleigh. And I'm Sharron Angle. We're here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. Don't go away.
All right.
Okay. Not quite as good on the time as we were before, but
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And we'd like to give a shout out to all of those that are watching us on the AUN TV network in San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Sacramento, Chico, and soon in Reno, Lake Tahoe, and Carson City, Nevada. Melissa, our first guest is ready. Would you make her feel welcome?
Absolutely. We have with us Mrs. Helen Raleigh, and she's a senior contributor to The Federalist. An immigrant from China, she's the owner of Red Meadow Advisors, LLC, and an immigration policy fellow at the Centennial Institute in Colorado. She's the author of several books, including Confucius Never Said and The Broken Welcome Mat. As a writer, Helen has been published nationally and internationally in both English and Chinese. Congressman Bob Schaefer called her award-winning autobiography, Confucius Never Said, one credible and powerful example of how rugged individualism and gritty self-determination can secure the American dream. Helen, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Good to see you, Melissa.
So you wrote an article, Evil Coronavirus Rules that Force Americans to Die Alone Must Never Happen Again. So I read this article, and I tell you what, this really pulls at the heartstrings, especially as my father recently was in the hospital for a month, and of course the coronavirus rules really kept us from being up there as much as we would have liked to. So I really was able to relate to us. But tell us about this article and tell us about the reader family.
Yeah, it was a very difficult interview for me to do. I couldn't stop crying when Elizabeth's husband, Steve, shared with me their story. So this story is about Elizabeth Rader. She was a loving, caring, always positive, according to her husband, a very super cute young lady. And Elizabeth had she had a long, complicated medical history. So she and Steve had two boys. They're both teenagers. So prior to April 29th, Elizabeth has been sick for about 7 weeks. Her regular doctors refused to see her in person out of fear for COVID-19, despite her complicated medical history. And on April 29th, she just appeared so sick that Steve called 911. Because of the COVID protocol, the families couldn't ride the ambulance with Elizabeth. So she said goodbye to them at the porch as she was carrying to the ambulance, and she waved goodbye to them, said hopefully I would see you guys soon. Unfortunately, she never got a chance to see them again. She spent 3 weeks at the hospital, including during which time the doctors discovered that she had a double pneumonia, which is something that couldn't possibly be detected, diagnosed through telemedicine. And also she had one of her lungs started bleeding. And by the way, Elizabeth did not have COVID-19. She was tested several times. The test result always came back negative. So she did not have COVID-19. Anyway, so she had one of her lungs was bleeding. So she was spend a couple of days at the ICU. During this whole 3 weeks of her stay, her husband begged hospital authorities to come to see her. And the answer is always no, because the COVID protocol. And then on May 19th, Steve, the two boys, and Elizabeth actually had a nice conversation. She seems to recover well through the FaceTime, the video chat, and the hospitals was even talking about releasing her in a day or two. So 20 minutes after they finished that FaceTime conversation, Steve got a call, said that Elizabeth went into cardiac arrest. So he jumped in the car, drive to the hospital. Anyway, 40 minutes on his way to the hospital, he was told that Elizabeth already passed, and she was only 40 years old. Steve said that the hardest conversation he had to have was to tell his two boys that they lost their mother. And his older son, Matthew, basically said, part of me was sad, I lost my mom, but a part of me was also angry because the last 3 weeks of my mom's life were taken away from me.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of stories about people being in the hospital or people passing away and they die alone because they're not allowed to have any visitors up there because of the COVID-19. And we all can recognize that the COVID-19 is a real sickness. I mean, people are dying from it. People are getting sick from it. But do you think that the hospitals went too far with their restrictions on outside visitors?
I'm not a healthcare expert, but I think, since the published article, this article has been widely shared over 22,000 times on social media. And I received many text messages and on social media as well as emails from readers. Just like you mentioned, many of them said, this happened to my dad, my mom, my sister-in-law, my daughter-in-law. So this has happened way too often. Mm-hmm. And, I agree with you that, pandemic is something that none of us are used to. We definitely need the protocols and the rules, but at the same time, I think now is really time we need to, all government officials as well as healthcare professionals need to have a soul searching, which is what I'm asking in my article is have some soul search to say if some of those rules are really based out of fear rather than based out of science, because loneliness is just as lethal as it has been scientifically proven. Loneliness is just as lethal as smoking 15 packs of cigarettes, right? So loneliness can kill people too. And we see, especially among young people, we see their mental health is, they subject to more higher risk of mental health than coronavirus. So we can't let the cure worse than the disease itself. And especially now, I just feel so strongly. I think Steve presented a good solution. He started a nonprofit called the Never Alone Project, which basically all he asking is have, even during a pandemic, have a patient to have at least one visitor, maybe just one visitor, a screened visitor each day that will help with their mental health and recovery. So American people are not asking for much. We have showed we are willing to listen to the government officials, healthcare professionals. We're willing to work with them. We obeyed, 2 months lockdowns. But no American should have to die alone. This is too tragic and too cruel.
Yeah, you make a very good point, because really with their restrictions, all they're doing is creating another potentially life-threatening situation with, loneliness. I know that, people who have their family surrounding them and who have hope, they have a much better outcome than those who don't. So it's a very good point. So have they been receptive to I guess people's outcry of, hey, look, we need to surround these people with family, or at least with some people, so they're not alone?
Well, so I think the idea is very receptive to American people, right? That's why this article is so widely shared, and the people pouring out their sympathy for the Raider family, as well as demand for change. I think the public officials, as well as healthcare professionals, are still very slow to respond to American people's, this emotional and healthcare request. I also mentioned in my article, it's difficult to talk about this without mentioning, in the last couple of weeks, as we see the social unrest around us, you see the same government officials and healthcare professionals which scolded the people, told us we're not allowed to have a gathering more than 10 people. We're not allowed to have a normal funeral. We're not allowed to visit our sick families, just let them die alone at the hospital. But at the same time, it's all okay to go out to attend the mass, protests. So they lost the credibility there too. Again, we are asking them, those people in charge, to rethink what really makes sense for the health and the safety of American people, for all of us.
You're right. Absolutely. We're going to have to take a break. We're speaking with Helen Raleigh, and we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7, and we'll be right back.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. While you're there, would you friend us, follow us, repost those things that you see that you like on our Facebook and Twitter accounts? We really would appreciate that. We've been talking with our guest, Helen Raleigh, who is a senior contributor to the Federalist. She's also an immigrant from China, and she's the owner of Red Meadow Advisors, LLC, an immigration policy fellow at the Centennial Institute in Colorado. She's written a wonderful article, Evil Coronavirus Rules That Force Americans to Die Alone Must Never Happen Again. Helen, we've been talking about Elizabeth Reeder, who died alone, not because she had coronavirus, but as you pointed out, because there is such a fear. She had some underlying medical conditions, right? Lupus was her...
Yeah. Lupus was one of her conditions. She also had a double pneumonia, so blood infection. So she had a number of healthcare, conditions. But according to his husband, Steve, that Elizabeth was really sick back in 2014, and Steve said that she was much sicker than this year. But she survived part of it because for 24/7, there was always a family member, whether it's Steve or Elizabeth's mom, somebody was always there with her, comforting her, read to her, and also constantly talk to the medical professionals, identify what's the best treatment plan for her. So she has all those love and support in addition to excellent medical care that she survived, from 2014, and she went on to live for 6, happy and healthy years with her family.
I'm glad that you mentioned the advocacy part of visitors, because when you're sick, especially in ICU, sometimes you're not able to advocate for yourself, and sometimes the patient is just not able. Like I have a grandson that I spent hours and hours and hours in ICU with, and he can't speak. So, of course, we had to speak for him. And there's not necessarily, they try hard, but the medical staff is not necessarily consistent. You don't get the same nurses every day. You don't get the same nurses even going from the same shifts every day. It's right. a grab bag, and they're not all equal when it comes to their understanding of your case, and you become the continuity, the bridge between all of these healthcare workers. I know I would have never thought of leaving that ICU unit without someone there. It's just, you have to make sure that everybody knows what medications you are the advocate. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And that advocacy, I don't understand. Don't they have COVID units in the hospital, and they don't mix the COVID units with the ICU, do they?
No, I don't think so. I think most hospitals, if not all, they separate the contagious area where they treat COVID versus the rest of the hospital. But again, there's a lot of fear-driven decisions that basically, we all heard that even for elective procedures are all postponed. Well, for some people, right, if you have a diabetes, if you have heart conditions, I have one of a dear friend of mine, her dad has prostate cancers. Even those things just cannot be postponed. They need treatment. So, but we made such a drastic, I should say government officials and healthcare professionals made such drastic decisions back in March, basically just shut everything down, just to treat the COVID alone. To me, that's a draconian decision. And to most Americans, that's a draconian decision. Now we are seeing the consequence of that draconian decision. So if, according to healthcare professionals, that the COVID-19 is here to stay, it's not going away, even after we have, vaccination, then we as American people need to demand those people in charge to come up with better rules. It cannot be this, nothing but the COVID and everybody had to live alone in social isolation. Then especially for patients have to die alone, and you're not allowed to have a regular funeral. You say goodbye to FaceTime. Those things. There's no electronic communication can replace human to human, face to face communication. That's how we are wired to be. That's just biological. That's how we are wired to be. We can't do that.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we're objecting so much to these masks. Not only are we finding out they don't work, that like they're supposed to, that they may be harmful to our health even. It just is a separation and isolation. Even when you're in a group of people, you've got that mask on, and it keeps you from, so much of what we say, we read on a person's face. It's not just the words, it's how they express those words. So you're exactly right. Getting back to this, I was in the neonatal ICU. That's probably the most filtered and protected of all the ICU units in a hospital. And before we could go in, they taught us how to wear masks, how to wear cover-up garments, how to wash our hands, how to prevent bringing in anything into that unit, but we were not prevented from going in. I don't get it. Why couldn't we have done that same kind of protocol with this?
Well, I agree with you. That's what Steve's been asking. While Elizabeth was at the ICU, Steve went to get tested for a COVID-19. His test result came back negative. So he begged the hospital authority to say, I'll wear whatever, all the PPEs you wanted me to wear, as long as you let me to go see my wife. And the answer was still always no. It doesn't. I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense, because we know, the medical professionals know how to keep, both the patients safe as well as the visitors safe. They have the PPEs. They have the isolation ward, environment. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of misinformation, especially in early March, when this pandemic just became an outbreak. In the early days, there were a lot of information because there were a lot of unknown. So again, a lot of decisions are driven by fear. So now we all have responsibilities, but especially those people in charge have responsibilities to reevaluate those rules they put in place and see if they're still making any sense. If not, they have to change it. And we as people have to demand them to change it, because some of those rules really do not make any sense. It causes more harm, than help.
Now, I'm going to go to that word draconian that you used, and I think that perhaps your background probably entitles you to use that word more than any other American, because you've come from a different society where you understand what draconian really means. Compare what happened in March here and April and May, because I mean, we started getting more information, but they didn't lift the rules. We started seeing the inconsistencies, but they're not lifting the rules. Talk about how that compares with what you're familiar with in other countries.
Well, so there are several similarities. One of them is, I think, power corrupts. And, back in March and April, when the governors and the healthcare professionals suddenly found they have all this power to mandate each one of us what to do, whether you have to shelter at home, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And this is the kind of power they never had before. And I think some of the politicians enjoy it a little bit too much. Just look, the governor in Michigan, it's so many rules are so arbitrary and don't make any sense and do not necessarily contribute to any healthcare benefits at all. It's just give them the power to tell people what to do. So power definitely corrupts. And this is why I'm such a strong supporter of limited government. I think if anything, after we're coming out of this pandemic, hopefully we're coming out of this pandemic, I think more Americans, should demand shrink the size of the government, have a limited government. Yeah. With limited size of government, there will be limited power. So that's one thing. Another thing, the similarity, which I think especially scary, is what's happening in the last couple of weeks with all the topping over statues and banning the books, cancel people, the prevalence of the cancel culture. That really reminded me a lot of the cultural revolutions in the 1960s in China. I wrote several articles for the Federalist, and you guys can check it out. Your listeners can check it out either on my website, HelenRaleighSpeaks.com, or go to thefederalist.com to check it out. Because I see definitely there are so many similarities about how this ideology warfare, cultural warfare started from college campuses. And many Americans mistakenly thought it's only going to stay in college campuses. The real world going to change them. No, today's college campuses are nothing but illiberal re-education camps, which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And once the students graduate, now we see they brought those cancel culture to the larger society, and they shut down debates, they shut down different opinions, they force people, not just famous people. Now we see ordinary people lost their jobs and, lose their friends, get, castricized on social media, all because they were waiting to say something that's different from the social justice warriors. And so this is really harmful. And for anyone who think it's only going to stay on a cultural level, that's one of my most recent articles was about, to try to wake people up to say, look, if they can top over George Washington's statue, right, none of us are safe. Because if the founding fathers and the founding principles of those countries don't matter anymore, then none of us matters anymore. So, one of my colleagues at the Federalist basically had said, first they burn the book, first they top the statues, then they burn the books, then they started killing. And some people say, oh, you're just fear mongering. And I was telling them, no. If you look at China's cultural revolution history, that's exactly the sequence. They started on college campuses, they burn books, they condemn professors and intellectuals, administrators, then they brought it to a larger society. They dug out the tombs, they destroy cultural artifacts, and then they started to kill innocent people. So all for the reason for conformity. So yes, unfortunately, sometimes history tends to repeat itself, or at least the rhymes. And I really encourage Americans to waking up to see the real danger of what are we walking into this thing, and don't be so naive thinking this is just something going to stay on high culture level. We already see that's not the case at all.
I am so impressed by your answer, Helen. Thank you for pointing out that it's not diversity really that they want conformity. Could you tell our listeners how they can friend you, follow you, connect with you, find your articles?
Sure. They can go to my website, HelenRaleighSpeaks.com. They can follow me on Twitter at @HRaleighSpeaks, or they can follow me on Parler. It's the same at @HRaleighSpeaks. And they can also find my articles at thefederalist.com.
Thank you so much, Helen Raleigh, for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless you.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you for having me.
We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. We'll be right back after these messages with our next guest, and we'll be talking with Jason Snead, who is with the Honest Elections Project. Don't go away.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And we want to give a shout out to those listeners who are on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. And of course, you can also see us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. Melissa, our next guest is ready. Would you make him feel welcome?
Yes, we are here with Jason Snead, and Jason is the Executive Director of the Honest Elections Project. Prior to heading the project, Jason spent 10 years at the Heritage Foundation, where he had the honor to work for former Attorney General Ed Meese. During his tenure at Heritage, Jason rose to become a senior policy analyst and recognized expert on a wide range of subjects. He regularly studied, wrote, and spoke on topics ranging from criminal justice and civil asset forfeiture reform to technology policy and the regulation of drones and American strikes to preserving the integrity of American elections. Jason has also managed to manage the development of the Heritage Election Fraud Database, a unique tool aggregating proven instances of voter fraud from around the nation. Jason, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
So we have an article written by Ron Blitzer. The new report argues perils of mail-in voting go beyond fraud. And you were mentioned in this article. But before we get there, tell us about the Honest Elections Project and tell us what they do.
The Honest Elections Project is a nonpartisan, nonprofit watchdog dedicated to fighting for the right of every American to vote in a free and fair election. We believe passionately that every American's voting rights must be protected. We also believe that means you have to protect the process of voting to ensure that your vote counts, that it's not diluted or negated by election fraud. And that's especially true in this election season as we're dealing with the various problems and risks posed by COVID and by the responses that are being pushed in some quarters.
Gotcha. So I'm here in Alabama, and our Supreme Court has recently issued a stay because a lower court had held that we could do curbside voting. So our judges here issued a stay on that because they really want to preserve the integrity of the election. But tell us some problems that you're aware of with the curbside voting or absentee voting.
Well, one of the things that we've been looking at since the start of this pandemic is what sort of changes need to be made and what sort of changes can be responsibly made to our elections to ensure that voting is easy and safe. And we've actually seen that there is a lot of innovation being undertaken at the state level to find ways to vote safely, whether it's in person or whether it's expanding absentee voting to ensure that vulnerable voters can vote from the safety of their own homes. But ultimately, we need to remember two things. One is that there is a lawful way to undertake these changes. That's, through the state's elections officials and the elected leaders adopting changes to their election laws as needed and debating that and balancing the various competing interests. And the second thing is that we need to always remember, even in times of pandemic, that we want it to be safe and easy to vote, but we also need to make it hard to cheat. And that means that we need to keep election safeguards in place that stop voter fraud, that inspire confidence in our elections, and ultimately encourage people to turn out and vote. And what we're seeing is an increasing push, particularly from the political left, to adopt what they call vote by mail, which ultimately jettisons most or all of the safeguards that make absentee balloting relatively secure and try to replace this wholesale just a few months before an election. That's an invitation, I think, to disaster.
And the Florida bar this year has said that the bar exam in July will be online. And it really sparked a lot of mixed reactions from attorneys and students saying, "Oh my gosh, cheating is going to be rampant if they let people take the bar exam online from home." So we've had a similar reaction to people who say, "Wait a minute, voting from home, it's going to be rampant. What safeguards can we put in place so that people can vote from home yet maintain the integrity of the election?"
Well, we can look to the rules that are in place for absentee voting right now. All 50 states allow for absentee balloting, and it's a process which most Americans are relatively familiar and comfortable with. You request a ballot is then sent to you, and there are various safeguards in place that are designed to ensure that you, the person who is voting the ballot, is who you say you are and not someone who's attempting to cast a fraudulent vote. Because as you say, to allude to the test, if you can assume that a test that's taken at home without anyone supervising it, that there might be cheating, you can make the same assumption about voting. And there are a lot of instances where when voting takes place outside of a polling place and away from the watch of elections officials and monitors, that cheating can happen. Votes can be tampered with. Pressure can be applied to voters to vote in a particular way, the right way, whoever is applying the pressure. There's lots of things that can go wrong with that process. And so we need to have safeguards like voter ID laws, like witness requirements to make sure that the person voting is who they say they are. And also we need to have bans on vote harvesting to try to keep third parties who are not caregivers or immediate family away from ballots that are being voted by people. We need to give them confidence that not only are they casting their vote, but that vote is going to be counted.
So typically, I know with military, I'm military, so absentee voting is something that is done with deployments or if you're out of state for schools and the like. But there's a reason for that absentee vote. So would there be valid reasons for absentee voting? Would a pandemic be enough to say, okay, you can vote absentee vote?
Well, right now, more than 30 states allow for what's called no excuse absentee voting. So anyone at any time, pandemic or not, can request an absentee ballot. The remaining states require some sort of an excuse. And what we've seen is that a number of states have taken the steps to adopt changes to their election laws for this election cycle to allow people to request a ballot. But ultimately, we've taken the stance at Honest Elections that expanding absentee voting with those safeguards in place is one of the many solutions that states can undertake to help keep voting safe and easy this fall. I'd also want to point out that we've seen studies conducted that have shown that it's possible to hold in-person voting safely in the pandemic as well. It just requires the appropriate training and preparation. And once you do that, we saw this in Wisconsin, you can hold an election safely. And so there's this call to radically change or transform elections because of the fear of spreading the virus at in-person polling places. Mm-hmm. And what these reports show us is that with the right precautions, you don't have to worry about that.
Right. Okay. And, we've heard a lot over the years in different elections about dead people voting. And there's, hundreds of thousands of people who shouldn't be on the rolls or actually on these voting rolls. How does that happen?
Well, it happens because life is not stagnant. People move every single year, about 10% of the American population, in fact. People die. People are convicted of felonies that disqualify them from voting. And what happens is when states don't go through their voter rolls and clean them up and remove those now out-of-date entries, then they will linger on the rolls, sometimes for years. And that's how you get to the state where we are today, when Pew researchers a few years ago found that 1 in every 8 voter registrations nationwide were inaccurate or out of date. Mm-hmm. And so the problem with that is apparent, right? It only takes a moment's thought to think about all of the problems, especially if you're talking about doing a vote-by-mail system where ballots are being automatically sent to every voter registration. We saw in several cases of elections held in just the last couple of months in New Jersey and in Nevada, where ballots are being sent out even to those old registrations the state believed were out of date. And what happened to them? They wound up lining trash cans. They wound up left in apartment lobbies. And so that's why, we need to be thinking about the security side of this as we're thinking about how to make voting safe and easy this fall. We should not be leaving large numbers of ballots unattended and weakening the safeguards that could stop people from exploiting those ballots and casting them fraudulently. We need to be making responsible choices.
Absolutely. We're talking with Jason Snead, and we're going to have to take a break. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7, and we'll be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562.
888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle, here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And if you'd like a rebroadcast of today's show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. While you're there, friend us, follow us, and like us on Facebook and on Twitter. We've been talking with our guest, Jason Snead, who is the Executive Director of Honest Elections Project. And prior to that project, he spent 10 years with the Heritage Foundation and had some work with Edmund Meese. Jason, we're talking about mailing in ballots and just generally keeping the integrity in an election. Now, you talk about proactive. You say you should request a ballot, but that's not how it's working. In my state, Nevada, for instance, they just mailed out to everybody that they thought was an active voter. And then the largest county in our state, where Las Vegas is, 70% of our population lives there, the registrar said, oh, we're just going to mail to the inactive voters as well. So everybody gets a ballot, whether they're here or not. What happened to making the request?
Well, one of the things that we've seen since COVID-19 started was a concerted and extremely well-funded push in terms of advocacy, legislation, and litigation from the political left to try to change the way that we vote this November. And one of the things that they have been pushing for is to automatically mail ballots to every voter registration, whether the person is active or inactive, whether the voter intends to vote absentee or not. And what happened in Nevada was that there was actually a lawsuit that was filed by the Democratic National Committee and various other groups to change election law in the state of Nevada to do that automatic mailing, and then also to eliminate the voter safeguards that we've been talking about that are designed to ensure that the person casting the ballot is the lawful voter, and also to stop voter fraud. And so when Clark County decided that it was going to send ballots automatically, what we saw were ballots lining trash cans, ballots left on sidewalks. And we saw that in New Jersey as well, another state that decided to send ballots automatically. This ultimately amounts to a security vulnerability in the election process that leaves the door open to fraud, or at least the potential of fraud. And it also is a waste of taxpayers' money. Clark County estimated that the cost of complying with this request from the DNC was over $300,000. And when you see ballots getting thrown away, you're literally throwing away taxpayers' money at that point. So that's why automatic balloting is not a good idea to go nationwide this fall.
And I thought that we were supposed to send out a postcard from the registrar that says, "Are you still there?" And if they don't answer that, they're supposed to be taken from active to inactive. And even if you're an inactive voter, if you go and request a ballot, you're still given one, aren't you?
Well, at this point, the push is to mail to everyone, active or inactive. You're right that states are supposed to be keeping track of their voters and, moving you to an inactive and then eventually eliminating the old registrations altogether. But what we're seeing is this push to destroy that delineation between active and inactive. And so what would that do? That would flood the market with ballots. And then if you also weaken the safeguards like signature matching requirements or voter ID laws, and if you legalize vote harvesting, all of which are central pillars of this vote by mail push, then you are opening the door to fraud, and you are weakening the ability of states to detect it and to stop it. And I think that there's no serious argument to be made that no one is going to take advantage of that vulnerability. In fact, 4 people were just charged, including a councilman and a councilman-elect in New Jersey, for trying to rig an election in the state's 3rd largest city, taking advantage of these very same vulnerabilities. And guess what laws were used to detect that fraud? It was the voter ID signature laws, and it was the anti-vote harvesting laws. The same laws that folks on the left are trying to undo.
Well, speaking of the law, we have the Help America Vote Act. Is this kind of an end around to get the court to decide against the Help America Vote Act, or is the Help America Vote Act really not even a law that we should be taking serious because it just doesn't have enough safeguards in it?
Well, I'd certainly think that there's a lot that can be done to improve both the NVRA and the Help America Vote Act. But ultimately, those are useful tools because they do mandate that states keep voter lists clean. And the Supreme Court just recently affirmed that when Ohio had to fight tooth and nail to the Supreme Court in order to clean up its voter rolls. But ultimately, I think that what we're seeing is a concerted push to attack state laws that are designed to provide for safeguards that prevent voting from becoming a free-for-all. And under the guise of trying to always make it easier and easier and easier to vote, these important safeguards like voter ID laws and other regulations that bring some order to this process and inspire confidence and ultimately encourage people to participate are being attacked, allegedly because of COVID-19, but they're always seeking permanent changes to the way that our democracy functions. And so we need to be on guard and we need to be vigilant about that. And my group is actively working to do what we can to resist that effort, because ultimately voters deserve better than a chaotic free-for-all. And that's exactly what we'll get in November if we go down this road.
Now, you're in Washington, D.C., your group, I'm assuming, and that you do some lobbying there to Congress. Have you been thinking about a bill of your own and getting a sponsor that would require national voter ID, or maybe what they did in Iraq, which was get your thumbprint out there?
Well, we're a C3, and so there's limits on what we can do in terms of the lobbying front. But as a policy matter, I certainly think that states should be requiring voter identification requirements. Most voters agree with that. Poll after poll, 75 or 80% of voters, including a lot of people who self-describe as Democrats, think that you should have to show a photographic ID in order to vote, which just gets to the common sense nature of so much of this debate. It's been reduced to a political and very partisan, vitriolic sort of a fight. But ultimately, most Americans agree that we need to take measures and we need to take steps to safeguard our elections because they're the core of our democracy. And that, above all else, is what my group is here to fight for.
I also belong to a 501c3 that is interested in elections called the Election Integrity Project. And we're now in 4 states where we actually do boots on the ground. We go in and analyze voter rolls and bring up discrepancies and talk about voters that are dead and shouldn't be on those rolls, and try to enforce that HAVA requirement that you do clean up the rolls. But it seems like we're going to need to do more, that there's going to have to be some advocacy as far as changing the laws, and yet the left doesn't seem really interested in legislation as much as they do in taking things to court. It's kind of a, let's go around the legislative branch. The judicial branch is much more friendly to us in some ways, and we'd rather fight this through the courts. Is there any way that we can kind of preclude that, or make them follow the rules of democracy and a democratic republic, which means make the laws in the legislative branch?
Well, I certainly agree that that's the approach that should be adhered to. You know, when I was speaking about this earlier on in this interview, I was pointing out that there is a lawful way to make these sorts of changes, and it's through the legislatures because they make the law. What we are seeing is this push to go to the courts to try to wage these policy fights. And when the activists that want, for instance, automatic vote by mail lose that fight because lawmakers reject it, they then run to the courts. And so that's why my group and other groups are in the courts as well, making sure the judges are hearing good arguments about the lawful way to make these sorts of changes and trying to preserve the way that our democracy functions. But I certainly am also keeping my eye on what's going on in Congress, and there have been several pushes. You know, every time we see a COVID relief package, there's always some sort of a bill that's a rider on that as well, trying to federalize large portions of the election administration in this country and trying to push these sorts of massive changes that ultimately amount to a permanent overhaul and transformation of voting. And it's all for, in many cases, nakedly political reasons, and there's an effort here to manipulate elections, and we really need to be fighting that.
We do. And thank you so much, Jason Snead, for being our guest here. Would you tell our listeners how they can friend you, follow you, connect with you, read articles about you or by you?
Absolutely. We have a fantastic website, honestelections.org, where you can find up to date information, our take on some of the news of the day, as well as resources for people who want to understand more. And in fact, we just put out a report on this very subject, vote by mail, that I'd encourage folks to read. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Honest Elections.
Thank you so much, Jason Snead, for being our guest here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care. God bless you.
Thank you.
We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Angle, and I'm here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. We'll be right back after these messages with our guest, Tyler O'Neill.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. But when I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Engel here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. And, of course, we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios around the world on the internet. We have radio stations in Florida and Georgia, Nevada and Pennsylvania, Colorado, Wisconsin, California, and Virginia, and of course Washington, D.C. We also have the AUN TV network in Northern California. And if all else fails, just check us out on our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. Melissa, our next guest is ready. Would you welcome him, please?
Absolutely. We're here with Tyler O'Neill. He's the senior editor of PJ Media and conservative commentator. He has written for numerous publications, including the Christian Post, National Review, the Washington Free Beacon, the Daily Signal, AEI's Values and Capitalism, and the Colson Center's Breakpoint. He enjoys Indian food, board games, and talking ceaselessly about politics, religion, and culture. Tyler's latest book is Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. So, Tyler, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, my pleasure. Good to be here.
So we're talking about an article you wrote, Did the Supreme Court Just Eviscerate the Central Purpose of the Electoral College? And just to read a line, it says, on Monday, the Supreme Court ruled that states can impose penalties on members of the Electoral College who violate their pledges to vote for their party's candidate. So tell us a little bit about that and really explain the Electoral College, so maybe some of our listeners don't quite understand how that works.
Yeah, so it's a pretty complicated institution, and it doesn't actually work exactly the way that the founders said it should work when they wrote the Federalist Papers. And that's kind of the key point in this debate. Mm-hmm. So I had the very provocative title, Did the Supreme Court Just Eviscerate the Central Purpose of the Electoral College? And that's because the way that the Electoral College works and the way that the founders defended it when they were arguing for the ratification of the Constitution in the Federalist Papers are very different. In the Federalist Papers, you had Hamilton and Jay arguing that the purpose of the Electoral College is to have the states in the state legislatures choose the best people who should be trusted to decide who the president should be. So instead of having the president elected by popular vote in each of the separate states, or by or by the Senate, or by the Supreme Court, or anything like that, the founders said that the president should be selected by men of great character. And in Alexander Hamilton's case, he said he wanted men most capable of analyzing the qualities needed for office who would make their choices under circumstances favorable to deliberation. And John Jay said that the Electoral College would be composed of the most enlightened and respectable citizens whose choices would reflect discretion and discernment. So it's actually very interesting. Back when I was anti-Trump, right before Trump got chosen by the Electoral College, because he had won in the Electoral College votes in the election, I looked at the idea that there should be this group of electors who didn't like Trump and wanted to prevent him from becoming president, and also who would prevent Hillary from becoming president, by the way, because she is absolutely horrible, terrified the crap out of me. But I thought that, hey, we have this stopgap that, according to the founders, the Electoral College should choose people based on their own intents. But that's an interesting point about this Supreme Court decision, because the Supreme Court rejected that argument. And the Supreme Court was actually very right to reject that argument. While the Federalist Papers argued that the Electoral College should choose a president in this manner by their own lights, the Constitution only said that state legislatures have to choose how they appoint electors. And the Constitution nowhere suggested that states could not force electors to support the candidate who was represented by their state. So, the way that the system works today, if a majority of the voters in Colorado vote for Donald Trump, unlike happened, but just as an example, then the electoral votes of Colorado would be given to Donald Trump. Now, Colorado is a weird case because they actually split it between the two who win the most and the second most. But that's the way that the founders wrote it in the Constitution. They enabled states to make their own rules on this. And the Supreme Court decided that, yes, states can make their own rules. And that means that if a state like California says, hey, members of the Electoral College, if you change your mind and don't vote for the candidate you pledged to vote for, then we're going to fine you. We're going to penalize you. And the Supreme Court said, that's A-okay, and they have to pay the fine. Now, I like the idea of having these faithless electors. I mean, it's kind of fun when they vote for people who are not on the ballot, but at the same time, they're performing a vital service in our country. And when a state says, I'm choosing you as a Republican elector, therefore you should vote for Donald Trump, you really should vote for Donald Trump. And if the state wants to penalize you for not doing so, then that's the state's prerogative. And I think the Supreme Court made the right call here.
Okay. All right. So the Supreme Court just ruled in Schifolo v. Washington, right? That's the 2020 case we're talking about. What led up to that? Can you tell us specifics about that case? What led to the filing of that case?
Yeah, so what happened was there were these three faithless electors who were supposed to vote for Hillary Clinton, and instead they wrote in Colin Powell,
Wow.
who of course I think would be a better president than Hillary Clinton. But
yes,
and so apparently did Peter Chiafalo, Levi Guerra, and Esther John. But the fact of the matter is, California said you can't do that. So California levied a $1,000 fine on each of these electors, and the electors said, oh no, we have a First Amendment right to vote how we want to vote. And I believe they quoted the Federalist Papers, which, had the drafters of the Constitution written that into the Constitution, and had the Electoral College not become the thing that it is today, would be a good argument. But the problem is, history happened. And the Supreme Court is not held to apply the law from the Federalist Papers. The Supreme Court is held to apply the Constitution. And the Constitution was purposefully vague. And when the Constitution is vague, the states have the right to act in the way that they did. So, that's, okay. I think it was the right call, even though I'd love to see an electoral college that works a little differently. it probably would be unpalatable in today's political environment.
So the Supreme Court didn't rule that they have to vote along party lines or what the candidate the party wants them to vote for. The Supreme Court just said that the states can sanction them. They can fine them if they don't do it.
Right. So, well, they each made a pledge that they were going to vote in a certain way, and they broke that pledge. So it wasn't so much, California has the fine to force them to follow the pledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not that they don't have a right to vote their conscience here, which is,
I got
a little problematic.
Yeah.
But it's not really problematic under the way that the Constitution was written and the way that it's been applied for the past 200 years.
Gotcha. Okay, we're here with Tyler O'Neill. We're going to have to take a break, and we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7, and we'll be right back.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak. If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. And while you're there, would you friend us, follow us, and like us on Facebook and on Twitter? We're talking with our guest, Tyler O'Neill, who is a senior editor at PJ Media and a conservative commentator, but also an author. Would you show us your latest book? There it is, Making Hate Pay, The Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Tyler, while you're holding that book, tell us a little bit about it. Just kind of give us a brief overview. You can read the back if you want, but tell us tell us what it's about.
Yeah, no need. I've got it all up here. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is well regarded by a lot of liberals, a lot of big tech, corporate America, and the media as a sort of clearinghouse for talking about hate groups. But the problem is they're a notoriously scandal-plagued organization. Not only, last year they fired their co-founder Morris Dees after a sexual discrimination and sexual harassment and racial discrimination scandal that dates back decades, and I cover that in detail in the book. But they also have this long track record of branding their political opponents as hate groups. And that actually means a great deal because they, gained their name by suing the Ku Klux Klan and other affiliated hate groups into bankruptcy. So, naturally it's it's good to go after the Ku Klux Klan. But when you're listing mainstream conservative organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom, like Act for America, like the Center for Security Policy, along with the Ku Klux Klan on a hate group list, and then going to Congress and saying, look, our list of hate groups is statistically significant evidence that the threat of white supremacist terrorism is increasing in America, then you're really crossing into defamatory territory. And they have been able to launch these very effective campaigns to defame people who are advocating for normal, upstanding conservative goals, and to, in one case, and of course the SPLC didn't call for this, but in one case, a shooter broke into the Family Research Council and tried to kill everybody in the building and put Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches by their heads. And this horrific attempted terrorist attack luckily was foiled. But the attacker later testified to the FBI that he got the idea from the SPLC's hate group list. And the SPLC continues to list the Family Research Council as a hate group, the very accusation that led to this attack. So this is and by the way, their hate accusations also have been, former employees have said that it's a scam to bilk Northern liberals into ponying up cash for this organization. So it's notoriously corrupt. It has this Me Too scandal and a racial discrimination scandal, and it's causing severe damage to our culture of free speech in the United States. It's demonizing dissent. It's kind of at the forefront of the cancel culture movement. And it's a very important organization to expose and to say, look, this is what conservatives are facing these days. And by the way, it helps put a lot of the Black Lives Matter push today into perspective. That if you stray from the line of the liberal orthodoxy, you're supposed to be kaput. It's terrifying. And thankfully, there's a large amount of lowercase l liberals who have decided to write a condemnation of cancel culture. They're kind of the old guard of the left. So I don't know how much it will impact the rabid SJWs out there. But it's good to see some pushback, and hopefully things will turn around. But it's a tough time.
Well, show us your book again. Show us your book again.
Yes.
Making Hate Pay. Now you need to go get that book, listeners, because it kind of explains what's going on, as Tyler said, with this whole protest that we're in now and the Black Lives Matter. You're an investigative journalist. I know that about you, Tyler. You like to dig deep and find out what the truth is. Tell us when you're going to write the book about Black Lives Matter and what was really behind all these protests that we've been living through, all of this hate that's been spewed out on America, really.
Well, I am working on another book. It's a little bit more, we're going to see exactly where it goes because I'm doing a lot of research right now, talking about the riots and about the generational angst that my generation, the millennials, are feeling right now. There's kind of this generational cycle that I've really been looking at, and America is due for a big cataclysm, and millennials are looking for a cause to unite behind. And unfortunately, with the Black Lives Matter movement and with these riots and with the horrific police killing of George Floyd, which everybody condemns, millennials are starting to think that that they need to fight institutional racism, and they're starting to buy the dangerous argument of the Black Lives Matter movement, the TM version that is really Marxist and anti-American, and kind of applying the principles of the 1619 Project, redefining America's founding as fundamentally about racism and slavery and not about freedom and independence. So I hope there's going to be a backlash. I'm writing as much as I can about it. There have been a lot of cases where, these bereaved grandfathers whose kids have been killed in black on black crime have come forth and said, look, the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't seem to care about all black lives. It's only Black Lives Matter if they're killed by police. And I think that's a particularly telling and disgusting direction. And these riots have cost the lives of at least 21 people. I've written about that as well. And some of them, it's hair-raising, some of the people who've been killed. Like an 8-year-old girl was shot because her mom was trying to park near the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks got killed. And it's like she's trying to park, and there are all these protesters out there who are not cleared. The police could have cleared them, but all the protesters are there, and someone from the protesters shoots and kills this 8-year-old black girl. Yep. Where's the outrage for her life? Her life mattered just like George Floyd's did. I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's brutal what we're going through, and I guess that's why I'm saying, Tyler, write the book. Write the book. We've talked so much here on the show about the failure of academia to inform millennials on history, inform millennials on both sides of the argument, how they have taken an agenda and pretty much just perpetuated that agenda rather than actually educating. So I'm looking forward to your next book, Tyler. Can you tell us, our audience, how we can friend you, follow you, connect with you, get your book?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Twitter. Go to pjmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Tyler, Tyler, 2, the number 2, O'Neill, Oneil, with 1 L. And if you go on Amazon, just search in Making Hate Pay, and it's the first result that comes up. The SPLC has not convinced Amazon to take the book down as of yet. If Tucker has me on, that might change. But if we tried, we would raise a serious storm. So, that's me.
That's you.
Follow us at PJ Media.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Tucker Carlson. He's taken a little bit of heat for saying that Democrats actually hate America. I think that was the charge that they've made against him. So we'll see how, if they can make that stick, because people are losing their jobs over these kinds of. Actually, I think that's the hate speech. We no longer are allowed our First Amendment rights. You don't agree, you lose your job. There's terrible repercussions. You get caught in the crossfire. In a culture clash, I guess, is what we're here for. But anyway, we really are looking forward to your next book, Tyler. And thank you so much for being on Conservative Commandos radio show. Take care and God bless you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you so much.
And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. I'm Sharron Angle here with my co-host, Melissa Isaak, and we'll be right back with more.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Melissa, it's been a great show today, but unfortunately we're out of time. Could you tell our listeners how they can follow you, and then please thank our guests?
Yeah, I'm just Melissa Isaak on Facebook, Melissa Isaak on Twitter, Melissa Isaak on Instagram. Just very boring, but that's how you can find me. And we had 3 great guests, of course, as always. We had Helen Raleigh, and Helen Raleigh wrote an article, Evil Coronavirus Rules Force Americans to Die Alone. And she told us about the Reeder family. And Elizabeth Reeder was 40 years old, had 2 boys at home, and a very supportive husband. And she got sick, not with coronavirus, but because of the rules about coronavirus, she died alone. She died without being able to see her children for weeks, and her husband. And we're not understanding how there's consequences to these other restrictions that we put in place. People think, oh, it's all about the coronavirus. It's not. It's the economy. It's the loneliness there. So this really, it was a good interview. It's heartbreaking because it's unnecessary. But so we want to really thank Helen for that. We spoke with Jason Snead, and Jason is the executive director of the Honest Elections Project, and they are a bipartisan, nonprofit organization, and they just want fair elections. That's what we all should want, fair elections. But he was actually mentioned in a an article written by Ron Blitzer, and talks about, look, people are fighting against voter ID, they're fighting against They want curbside voting. They want absentee ballots just mailed with no restrictions. We can't do that. So it's great talking to him. Thank goodness there's somebody out there like that doing that, and overseeing everything, because our elections have to maintain integrity. And Tyler O'Neill, I love talking to Tyler. He wrote an article, "Did the Supreme Court just eviscerate the central purpose of the Electoral College?" And we've heard over the years, they say, well, wait a minute, if such and such president got the electoral vote, the popular vote rather, then why did the electoral vote not follow that? So they had some people voting outside of how they pledged to vote, and the states sanctioned them and fined them $1,000. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, states can do that. But like Tyler explained, when something is written intentionally vague, then the states can interpret it how they want to. So, but there's been a lot of back and forth about the Electoral College, so it should be interesting. But really, what we want is the will of the people. We want fair elections, and fair elections. That's the trademark to our democracy. So, great guest today.
Yes, we did. We have some great guests. And if anyone would like to follow me, you can go to my website, SharronAngle.com, SharronOutAngle.com. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.